Go ahead, and Mrs. Heath is going to say the prayer, and we're going to then do the pledge allegiance of the flag. You could stand, please.
Eternal Father, we come before you this evening with a thankful heart, thankful that we are here to live and see another day. Lord, we thank you for our community and all of our citizens. We thank you for our local, state, and national leaders. Continue to lead, guide, and direct not only this council, but all elected officials to do thy will. We pray for those who have lost loved ones in this community. We ask for your blessing over them and this community, and let us continue to love our neighbors as ourselves. We give you honor and glory on this day. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. That was great. Okay, I want to welcome everybody tonight. Okay, we'll start off tonight with the agenda of February 28th is before us. Are there any additions, deletions, or correction to the agenda tonight? Okay, council, hearing none, the chair moves that the agenda be accepted as unanimous consent. Okay, next is the minutes of the 14th of February before us. Council has had a chance to take a look at them. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes? Okay. No. Okay, hearing none, the chair moves that the minutes be accepted as unanimous consent. Okay, next on the agenda here is the disbursements of February 21st and February 28th. We've had a chance to take a look before us. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the disbursements? Everything look okay? All right, hearing none, the chair moves that the disbursements be accepted as unanimous consent. Okay, the first up tonight on the agenda is the Maryland Environmental Service. If you guys want to come on up. They're going to give us an update on everything.
Make sure Gary gets the keys. To
Yes, okay, I got you.
I'll mess it up. So.
Yeah, I got you. No, you've been doing pretty good here, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
You've been doing pretty good. This is your second or third time here, isn't it?
Third or fourth.
Yeah, you've been here.
Once in an
Yeah,
acting capacity.
you're doing a good job.
For me,
You guys are doing a good job talking about trash, you know.
That's right.
So
I want to thank the council
Yep.
for giving us the opportunity to update the county on where we stand with a very important agreement that the county has with its three fellow Upper Shore counties of Caroline, Kent, and Queen Anne's.
could I stop you for a minute?
Yep.
Could you guys introduce yourself? I'd appreciate
I'm
it.
sorry.
That's no
Oh,
problem.
that would have been,
Yep.
been the right start, right?
And we got new council right here.
That's right, we do.
Yep.
And that's,
Yes.
we're going to spend a little more time on
Yep.
the agreement and where we are.
Yep.
This is an introduction.
Yep.
I'm Timothy Ford. I am the Managing Director for the Environmental Operations Division of the Maryland Environmental Service.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you a little update on who MES is, or what MES is, in a second. And this is Gary Liseco. I'll let Gary give his own introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Liseco, I'm a senior project manager with MES for almost 5 years now. I'm a resident of Easton, and I'm responsible primarily for our midshore projects as well as a cogeneration plant down in Princess Anne.
And we're going to do something a little different this time. Gary's going to do part of the presentation because even though I'm 39 years old, I do have to nod, give a nod to the youngsters here. So, he'll be more involved in these presentations in the future.
That's good.
So, good. Now I can jump in.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thanks for that correction.
Thank you, Tim.
All right. What is MES? We are an independent agency of the state. In effect, what we are is a not-for-profit corporation wholly owned by the state of Maryland, if that makes sense. To any of the lawyers in the room, they'll know what that means. I've heard the word quasi. We're not quasi, I'm told by our attorney. We are a state agency, but we don't receive appropriations. To that effect, we work for clients like Talbot County and the Upper Shore, Montgomery County, many counties and state agencies on a fee-for-service basis. What we do is multidisciplinary environmental compliance services to state and local government, federal government. We do some private sector work as well. We'll give you a little bit of the history on MAS 101 in a second, but that is what we do. So the legislator created MES back when the Clean Water Act was first enacted. There was some question as to how municipalities and state government would comply with the new federal law. There was a steep learning curve. Secondly, a lot of smaller municipalities and smaller communities didn't have the resources at the time to comply with the new law. You needed engineering support, you needed infrastructure, technical know-how that just wasn't there at the time. If you recall, back in those days, wastewater treatment was more of an idea than an actual technology. So the legislature, in its wisdom, created an agency like a utility to support local governments and state government to comply with that law. Since that time, other environmental regulatory laws have been passed, and we've adapted to the same. And we now do RCRA, or Resource Conservation Recovery Act work, which is what we're talking about today, and that's trash. We do wastewater, we do dredging work in the bay. If you've been out to Poplar Island, it's a great tour. I encourage anybody to get out there and see what's going on there. It's a huge public works project. It's in the public's interest. It supports the Baltimore Harbor and the economic investments of the state. And it's a really cool project. So if you get a chance, get out there and see that as well. But anyway, we can do a couple things that government doesn't do real well. One, again, we're an operating arm. We're not a policy or regulatory agency. We are an operating arm of the state, as I said, much like a utility. So we operate things. And our procurement system is still regulated under COMAR, but it's a little more nimble than other procurement systems, and so we can react fairly quickly, because you have to be able to do that if you're on the operations side of things. You can't wait 6-7 months for procurement to move forward. You have to be nimble to be able to respond to day-to-day operational issues. So let's talk about the Midshore Agreement. So in the 1990s, the 4 upper counties, in reaction to the Subtitle D landfill regulations, banded together to create a long-term agreement that addressed the solid waste management needs of the 3 counties to start. That was Caroline, Queen Anne's, and Talbot County. Again, the regulations changed, so the old landfills that were in existence were outdated, now needed to be replaced. Each county was faced with the idea of having to individually build their own landfill, but then only manage the waste within their borders, which meant the unit costs, the economies of scale weren't there, right? So it would cost an individual county a lot more money to build an individual landfill for their volume, as opposed to combining. Even though you're sharing landfills, and each county will host a landfill over time, the economies of scales are there because it's a larger volume you're spreading it out over. All right. So in 1988, the 3 counties and MES, the Midshore partners, reached an agreement, and we decided to develop, or not agree to develop, a regional facility. Shortly thereafter, Kent County joined the Midshore Partnership in '92. The very first landfill constructed under that agreement was Midshore 1 right here in Talbot County. It opened up in 1990. It served its 20-year purpose and closed in 2010. So I left out the part that each county hosts a landfill on a time basis, not on an airspace basis. So 20 years is the term. So then Midshore 2 opened up in 2010, and it's expected to close in 2030, and the next site is scheduled to be in Queen Anne's County, and it will open up in 2031. We're already in the permitting process for that, and that is moving forward. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second. In 2012, MES assumed the operations of the Midshore Regional Recycling Program on behalf of the 4 counties. So we also manage that. That is funded through a surcharge on our tipping fees, $5, and that funds the local recycling collection operations within each of the counties. You all have seen, they used to be igloos, now they're containers that are stationed throughout the 4 counties, and we do the collection and the marketing of those recyclables. The value of those recyclables varies by the market, but it goes as part of the funding mechanism for operating that program. All right, this is kind of redundant. As I said, we opened up the landfill in 1990 for Mitchell 1. We currently operate a homeowner drop-off and transfer station at the closed landfill site on behalf of the county. Talbot County funds that transfer operations. And there's a transfer fee on waste transfer to Midshore 2, which is located in Ridgely. And MES and Talbot County executed Amendment 1 of contract, I'm not going to go with the number, on December 18, 2020, which extends the service term for the operation of the homeowner drop-off and transfer station through December 2030. So that's the current operation. And with that, because it's numbers, we'll turn it over to Gary.
All right. Recognizing that the makeup of the council is a little is new, decided to provide you guys with a little bit more context in terms of the numbers here and present our performance, or the transfer station's performance, over the last year rather than the last 6 months as we typically do. So at the transfer station in calendar year 22, we transferred out of there about 40,000 tons of trash and nearly 4,000 tons of yard waste or brush. And we had over 35,000 scale house transactions. Those are customers coming in, weighing out. Our homeowner drop-off facility there, we had nearly 24,000 customer visits and took in nearly 900 tons of trash. And as you can see there, sold quite a few punch cards over that year's term. All the trash that we collect there at the facility, it's loaded onto aluminum walking floor trailers, transferred up to Midshore 2, deposited there, and buried. The yard waste we grind on site and also transfer up to Midshore 2, where it's reused at the landfill for roads, essentially. All right, at Midshore 1, in addition to the transfer station, we have the closed landfill there that closed in 2010. Part of the obligation that MES has is to make sure that we're good environmental stewards and complete all the required post-closure care activities for that landfill. So that includes things like managing the leachate that's still being generated, the landfill gas, the cover on the landfill itself. So over the last year, we collected and flared or combusted in an engine nearly 130 million cubic feet of landfill gas. With that, when we collect that gas, the primary purpose of collecting it and flaring it or combusting it in an engine is to destroy the methane content in the gas. Methane's a potent greenhouse gas. And so by doing so, we generate carbon credits from that activity rather than just emitting that methane. Because we're destroying it on a voluntary basis, we generate carbon credits. We sold nearly 17,000 last year. We have about 1,600 left to sell from calendar year 21, and that generated roughly $50,000. We discharged about 5 million gallons of leachate to Easton Utilities wastewater treatment plant that's adjacent to us. And at least once a year, we maintain our exposed geomembrane cap that's on top of that landfill to make sure that it's in good condition.
Hey, Gary, I just want to make sure that everybody that's listening, you're talking about the Easton dump.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure
The
everybody...
closed Easton landfill.
Right. Okay, so just everybody understands that. And Midshore 2 is in Caroline.
Yep,
Okay.
correct. That's the active
That's
landfill
the
in
active
Caroline
one,
County.
so I just wanted everybody to understand that.
All right, just staying at Midshore 1 for just another minute. We mentioned this back in July that we were trying to pilot test a small engine that would combust landfill gas at the landfill. We submitted a grant application to the Maryland Energy Administration for this project and did receive an award. But essentially, this engine has a lot of use. It's kind of ubiquitous in the shale industry. It provides on-site energy for a lot of the fracking sites, but it hadn't been applied to the solid waste industry. So we worked with this company, Qnergy, and agreed to pilot test the engine. We commissioned the engine in August, and really it's been hasn't really missed a beat since. We've had nearly 90% uptime, and as of today, about 4,000 hours on the engine. We are in the process of working with Eastern Utilities to connect it to the grid, and it will offset a lot of our utility costs at the landfill. We also mentioned that we had put out a request for proposals for a photovoltaic solar project at the old Easton landfill that's adjacent to Midshore 1, the old unlined landfill. We had quite a few vendors reach out to us expressing interest, but when a little bit more due diligence was done, the project, because of the project size and the challenges in unloading the electricity that was generated, just didn't really make it economically feasible for those folks that were initially interested.
But never say never.
Right, currently. All right, Midshore 2. So this is the active landfill, Caroline County. Last year, we took in, across our scales, about 143,000 tons of trash, another 8,000 tons of brush, and then roughly 26 tons of scrap tires, excluding the tires that we received during the ag tire recycling event, another 40 tons of mattresses, and the homeowner drop-off facility there, we took in about 2,000 tons of waste. Currently, on an airspace basis, we think we could operate that facility into the early 2040s. But as Tim noted earlier, contractually, that facility will close at the end of 2030.
All right, so I get this one. This one's politically charged. So I thought we're remiss in not explaining the economics of how this all works. We probably should have had a slide for that for y'all, at least the new members here. Since 1992, Talbot County, it's interested for your county here, but this is the same for the other three counties, haven't paid anything for these landfills. They're basically self-sufficient. So we charge a tipping fee. The county pays some of that in what they transfer from their homeowner drop-offs. But for the most part, most of the trash is collected by private subscription services, and that material is tipped into our landfill. We generate a fee, and with that fee, that pays for the construction, the bond costs, the operations, and the closure and post-closure care for those landfills into perpetuity. So the county, unlike had they gone their own way, hadn't had to put any money out to construct a $20 million landfill and then manage the closure of that landfill upon completion to whenever MDE or EPA say we've had enough, which is supposedly a 30-year post-closure period, but that's not likely because of the way these landfills are constructed. They're dry tomb technologies. There's not a lot of biodegradation other than what we see in the methane production. So long story short, it's a good deal for the counties. We assume all that risk associated with it, but we collect the fees. Any surplus monies that are collected in revenue year over year are put into a special account that's held in reserve for any unexpected costs down the road. The counties do have an overhang. They're responsible for any costs that exceed operational costs over the long term. We've never had to ask for that in the 30 plus years we've been operating, and we don't intend to do that going forward. And we do maintain a reserve that's held specifically for that purpose. So again, we're a not-for-profit organization. We don't keep that, unlike the private sector, we don't keep monies over and above what the operating costs are. They're held in reserve. So what does that mean in terms of the cost to the community and to the county to some degree? Our tipping fee is at $69.50 a ton at the Midshore 2 landfill with a $10 minimum for people that are coming in. And we charge $44.50 for brush. That tipping fee is important for us to manage. We're very careful about what that number is. Again, as I mentioned, most of the volume that's hauled into the landfill is through private haulers. There is no requirement that they use a landfill. That's not something that's here. And then the municipalities that are incorporated, that have trash hauling contracts, aren't required to require that their vendors use a midshore landfill. So we have to be very wary of what those costs are per ton so that we can maintain a volume that comes into the landfill and doesn't go someplace else. We have a surcharge as part of that $69.50 of $5 a ton, and that's for the recycling partnership. At the Midshore 1 transfer station, there's an additional $10 per ton cost to in part cover the cost of the transfer operations from the transfer station to Midshore 2, and to cover the cost of operating the homeowner drop-off and the transfer station itself. Brush is $54.50 a ton, another $10, and again, there's a $2 per punch for disposal up to 7 bags. That all helps fund the cost of the operations at the Midshore 1 transfer station. We have any questions about that?
Good.
So, Midshore 3. We have submitted a draft Phase 1 refuse disposal permit to MDE for the Midshore Regional Solid Waste Facility, which will be located near Centerville. We're real creative with our names. So Midshore 1, Midshore 2, Midshore 3, and I suspect that Kent County will be Midshore 4, if it's a landfill even at that point. But anyway, Midshore 3 is near Centerville. MDE is expected to approve that Phase 1 RDP application by March 2023. We'll have a public informational meeting, and then the Phase 2 and Phase 3 permitting are expected to be completed over the next several years, with a permit approximately a year to year and a half prior to closure, because that's when we'll begin construction. We have not started the design, well, their design phase is part of the permitting process, but we haven't started the construction-related bid documents. That won't be for several years yet. Gary's going to take the MERP.
All right, so our Midshore Regional Recycling Program, as kind of Tim alluded to earlier, these sites used to be kind of characterized by the igloos that were everywhere. We have 35 sites throughout the 4 counties. Here in Talbot County, there's a number of sites as well at the Amish Market, AutoZone, in a Perry Cabin, Back Creek, Grouse Market, etc. But at these sites, we have a number of recycling bins that allow residents to bring their source-separated recyclables like cardboard, paper, different colored glass, as well as number 1 and number 2 plastics, as well as metal cans, and discard those materials into our bins. We essentially operate a fleet of trucks that go around and collect those recyclables and then consolidate them and deliver them directly to local markets. As Tim mentioned, the program is primarily funded through a $5 fee per ton of trash that's delivered to Midshore 2. All right, so for calendar year 22, we took in a total of nearly 3,300 tons of recyclables through that program across the 4 counties. Generally, we're between 3,000 and 3,500 tons per year over the last several years since kind of the COVID pandemic started. You can see the numbers there. Cardboard and paper comprise about half of it, so fiber is about half, and then glass and mixed metal and plastic make up the other half. The commodities, in terms of selling those materials, do make up a part of the revenue that's used to fund the program. It's like any commodity market. It's variable and difficult to predict. Right now, we're seeing somewhat depressed fiber prices, so the mixed paper and the cardboard are down considerably from what we presented to you all in July. However, the mixed metal and plastic, as well as the glass markets, have remained fairly robust. So again, those commodity sales go to offset our operational expenses associated with that program. As another major component of the MERP program is our household hazardous waste events. We hold 2 of these a year. The most recent being in November at the Midshore 1 transfer station in Talbot County. We did about a little over 15,000 pounds of hazardous material, 8,000 pounds of electronics. Get quite a bit of a latex paint there. A lot of that's what's flowable anyways, recycled and remixed and actually sold again. Our next event will be in April in Kent County at the Nicholson landfill.
Let me explain the importance of that program. Under the Resource Conservation Recovery Act, household hazardous waste is exempt from the hazardous waste regulations. So it can go in the trash and end up in our landfill, but we don't want it in our landfill. So these types of programs are really important for us to keep. That's all material that would have otherwise been thrown in the trash and ended up in the landfill. And then we have to deal with the costs of those impacts in the landfill itself. So they're important programs, and we're more than happy to fund them through the MERP surcharge. Any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Sure.
2 questions. One, what are the punch cards? If you could explain that to the public, because you sell them for various price ranges. Could you explain what that is?
Go ahead.
Take it. So essentially, at the homeowner drop-off facility at Midshore 1,
Right.
a resident can come in, say a resident that's not in a incorporated area that has a trash service or a subscription service, they can come in with their bag trash and throw their bag trash away, up to 7 bags. But to do so, they need a punch card, which helps fund those, fund that operation. So the way we sell them, in conjunction with the county, this is kind of worked hand in hand with the county, is that we sell $20 punch cards that give you 10 punches, so $2 a punch. A $10 punch card, which gives you 5, throwaways, and a $5 punch card, which gets you just 1 punch. So it's more or less
That's
how
money that goes
they
to
work.
the county.
And my second question is, do you accept batteries? Or how does one dispose of batteries?
We do have a battery recycling bin at Midshore 1. It's with our other recycling bins that we accept batteries, and we take those and dispose of them, recycle them.
You're talking about batteries, not car batteries.
No, just like.
Batteries.
any-
Car batteries are generally what we accept.
Oh, just car batteries,
Just car
not
batteries.
like,
Yeah.
okay.
I've got just a couple
Yeah,
if I could.
yeah, sure, go ahead.
I see, excellent news about Midshore 3 and all that in the plans and everything like that. Will Midshore 2 then become just like Midshore 1? Will it be a transfer station?
There is a transfer station there now that will revert back to the county
Okay,
to manage. And the landfill will be closed and capped.
okay. Will Midshore 1 continue to be open, for services
Yes,
as
That's a
Midshore?
county program.
Perfect. Okay,
Mhm.
wonderful.
Mhm.
And just the second question I had, you mentioned the capturing of the gases, which I think is amazing, and being able to reuse that and put that back on the grid. Is there a percentage that you're able to just rough guesstimate of the amount that you capture versus the amount that gets flared off? I mean, are you able to capture the majority of it?
So at one time, we were partnered with Eastern Utilities, and the vast majority of the gas that was captured was delivered to Eastern Utilities and combusted in a large generator that they operated and maintained for a number of reasons. One of which was the quality of the gas. Now we're 10 years, 12 years, 13 years from the last waste that was put in that landfill, and so the remaining waste. A lot of the better gas in that waste has already been collected and
Okay.
combusted.
So the earlier gases are the better gases.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get higher quantities and quality of gas right there at basically the time you close a landfill, and then it's gonna degrade over time.
Okay.
So at that time, we were sending most of the gas to Eastern Utilities, and they were generating electricity from it. Now with the engine that we have now, that we've just completed the pilot test for, it's a relatively small engine, and it's performed very well. But it is less than probably 10% of the gas that we collect is sent through that engine.
But we are collecting all the gas that's collected through the gas collection system. There's some migration.
Gotcha.
EPA is tackling that issue now with additional regulations and requiring surface monitoring as a whole thing I don't want to get into today. But most of that gas is still collected and captured and managed, whether it's flared and that it destroys methane, which then creates a carbon credit
Sure.
that we use, or it's reused for energy, for electricity. It's a relatively small amount of electricity generated versus what is flared at this point.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so the economics didn't work out for Eastern Utilities. To continue to burn gas, it would have required that they have somebody there more full-time to operate that unit, and it wasn't economically feasible for them.
All right. Thank you.
If I can just add one component to your question there. The nice thing about this engine that we have there now is it fits a nice niche in that a lot of the larger landfill gas engines need a certain percentage of methane in the gas really to run well, 50% or more.
Yeah.
We're seeing methane concentrations in the 30s. And this engine, this technology, which is a relatively new application to solid waste, is able to use that gas. So we have the ability to put more engines in a parallel manner and use more of the gas to convert it to electricity.
Gary's given a presentation on this at a national conference, so he's just testing the material out.
That's right. How'd that sound?
No, it's just
good.
fascinating.
That's good.
So thank you for that.
Yep. You good? One thing you said at the very beginning of this, did you say you guys, EMS, was participating in a program at Poplar Island?
We, we're the contractor. We work with the Army Corps of Engineers in the state of Maryland to manage that program, that whole Poplar Island renovation program. So they're basically creating an island out in the bay with dredge materials.
Right. And so where do you get your materials to put in there?
It's all from the inner harbor, or for the harbor.
It is.
Keeping the harbor up, the harbor open.
Approach channels.
The channels, yeah, I'm sorry.
The channels. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it keeps those open, so
Right.
that's really critical, particularly the larger sized boats that are coming in now. We're competing with Norfolk as a state. It's a huge driver for our economy, and it's an important project. And the environmental benefits of that is we're one of the largest creators of wetlands in the state. Again, I can't describe it. You have to go out and see it. It's a really cool site, and everyone's here is welcome to arrange for a tour to go out there if you want to. So.
Right. Well, that was leading a little bit off track here, but
It's just off
is there an opportunity? So in front of you, we've got problems at Tillman Bridge there at the Narrows, and we need to dredge all that. So is there an opportunity for us to work together on something like that?
We do that as a business. Yes.
Yes,
So,
I'm with you.
I'll put you in touch with
That would be
my
great if you could.
counterpart who's in our dredging program.
Yes.
Marty Dolnar is her name, and she's
Okay.
much better able to describe what they can
Sure,
and can't do
sure.
than me.
Is that good?
I'm a trash guy.
That would be great. That would be good with Ray. Yep. Ray's in charge of that. So, okay, I really appreciate that.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking. Okay. Well, good job, guys. I really appreciate it. And, anything we can do to help you, just let us know.
We sure will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all.
Thanks.
you all.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all
Okay.
for doing
Yep.
this.
Nice meeting
Council.
you.
Nice meeting you all.
Okay. Okay. Okay, next up on the agenda is Talbot County Maine. Miss Patty Quimby, if you could come on up.
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
How are you doing?
I'm good.
That's good.
For those who don't know me, my name's Patty Crankshaw Quimby. I'm the Executive Director for Talbot Humane and the Chief Animal Control Officer for the county. So, I wanted to start out with some quick facts for the calendar year of 2022. We had 977 animals enter our direct care. 794 animals were adopted, reunited with their owner, relocated, or transferred to other rescue groups. Our spay-neuter mid-shore program spayed or neutered, 1,264 animals. 1,200 animals were microchipped. 202 owners received assistance from our intervention program. This program has been life-changing for our residents in need. 327 animals were fostered by community members. They foster pets that are too young or need medical assistance until they're ready for adoption. And over 9 tons of pet food was distributed directly from our shelter at our pet pantry events and our partnership with Care Packs. And our volunteers gave over 8,000 hours of time. The trends we saw, 18% increase in animal intake last year over 2021. We're not at the numbers we saw pre-COVID, but statistics and looking at our programs, we're feeling like our intervention program is probably the reason for that. The number of residents contacting us for because of financial hardship, evictions, housing issues, or acute medical needs has continued to increase. And I'm the president of the State Association of Animal Shelters and Animal Control, and we're seeing this trend across the state and talking to colleagues. This is a trend across the country that we're seeing. And we're not exactly sure why. Some of the surrenders of animals have been behavior issues, and we think some of that, as a field, we're feeling some of that was probably due to COVID. These animals did not go to training, they did not get socialized properly, and now they're adults and they're seeing behavior issues. So while we were seeing an increase in intake, our placement of animals through adoption, reuniting with pets, and working with reputable other rescues has remained strong. So even though we're seeing more animals, they're still moving out the door. Currently, we have a very low population of animals, and I better knock on wood when I say that. 37 cats, 16 dogs, 5 small mammals or exotics, and we have 6 dogs, 9 rabbits, and 2 cats in foster care right now. When we're talking about animal control, we saw 315 initial calls for service answered in 2022. This is in line with 2021, but this does not include the many requests for public assistance, vet transport, delivery of food and supplies to residents, follow-up visits on animal control or cruelty issues, and patrolling. Much of this was done by Officer Gonzalez. We were struggling to find an officer for over a year, and he will be celebrating 20 years of service with us in May. So I think we all should thank him for sticking it out. It's not always an easy job. We have added to our team Brendan Wozniak as our new Animal Control Level 1 officer, and he will be attending East Coast Animal Control Academy in May. So today is World Spay Day, so it's a great time to talk about our Spay-Neuter Mid-Shore program. We were once again granted funds from the Maryland Department of Agriculture through their Spay-Neuter program for the 9th year. We are receiving $43,595. This will spay or neuter 334 cats and 240 dogs, as well as 333 rabies vaccinations. Our organization is matching that money so that we can provide low-cost programs on a sliding scale. The surgeries that are done through that grant have to be free of charge. So people who perhaps make more money than that cutoff, we do have a sliding scale to assist other residents. And this program actually serves Talbot and Dorchester counties in Maryland. We continue to offer our internships for students in their senior year of high school who are interested in animal sciences. This is a really important program, I feel. We've actually had one person who's graduated and is now a veterinarian. She just graduated and passed her NAVLE this year, so she is officially a veterinarian. And we have another one who's receiving her master's in molecular medicine. And it also helps students if they realize they don't want to deal with animals. We've had a few that were like, oh, no, we're not doing this. So it's good. It's a good way before they go to college and spend that money and realize they don't want to do it, or they see that they really do. We have a Pause to Read program for our elementary and middle school students. We have our next orientation for that on March 18th. This is where children come in and read to the animals, and it benefits both children and animals. We were very honored to host Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller on the Governor's Day of Service. She and her husband jumped right in, walking dogs and making enrichment items. It was a fun day to have her here, and it was a great way to promote volunteerism here in Maryland and in Talbot County. Our volunteer program, as we're speaking of that, we have a brand new volunteer coordinator. We have made that a full-time position, and she is excited to work with our community. We can't do all we do without our volunteers. We only have 15 staff. We have a team of over 100 volunteers that help us out. And we're currently looking for people specifically interested in fostering animals. We do have kitten season coming up, fundraising, events, perhaps committee members. And as we've talked briefly, we are working in the beginning stages of planning a new facility. So people who have those skills, we would love to have them come and talk to us about volunteering. And finally, our Unleashed program, which is our charity running program, is in its 11th year, and we are going to run local. We're running the St. Michael's Running Festival in May. It starts this Saturday as our first official day of the team, and people can still come out and join us. And I just want to thank you, the new council members. If you haven't been to the shelter, I'd love to host you. Come by, take a tour. You can, if I'm there, I'll make the time for you, or you can call ahead, and I'd love to do that. So,
Okay. Thank you, Patty. Council?
Yeah,
go ahead.
You go.
No, I just want to say, I thank you for all that you do for the animals in Talbot County. And it looks like that you have a low count of animals right now in the shelter, which is good,
Yeah.
Considering the national
Yeah.
trend of animals right now.
Yeah.
Did you see that the increase in people wanting animals was during COVID? Is that where you saw?
So we saw it was steady, but we had a lot of people who were fostering animals for us because, of course, there was so much unknown, and we were trying to keep staffing down in the shelter during that time, and a lot of those people fell in love and adopted them. We didn't have a surge in adoption, but it was strong. But we are seeing, right as we said, right now we don't have a whole lot of animals in the shelter. We've had last month we had more animals go out for adoption than came in totally in the month. So this is our sweet spot of what we call it at the shelter. No kittens. The adult cats get to shine, and we have a little bit of time to spend time with our behavior needs dogs more than we do in the summer and fall. So
Well, thank you for all that you do.
I, too, wanted to thank you for all that you do. I have a little fur baby that I adopted from you in 2019, and she's just a sweetheart.
well, good.
So
We love to hear that.
you had my heart. Thank you.
I'll just carry the thanks. I mean, I've been out there myself, and actually found 2 kittens on a job site years ago and dropped them off to you guys, and you got them adopted. It was really, really cool to see the operation. We almost adopted a dog, but unfortunately, he was scarfed up before we could. But this was years ago. But really, I love what you guys do out there. It's an impressive operation, and just I'll carry the thanks on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you.
And-
We have a
and,
great team.
You do have a great team, and like you say, you've been up here in front of me for many years, and you do a fabulous job in Talbot County. And I mean this, Patty. We're really lucky to have you,
Thank
and
you.
your team. And anything that we can do to help you, please let us know.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Uh-huh.
Have a good evening.
Okay, you
Appreciate
too.
You too.
Okay, all right. Up next on the agenda is a presentation of Talbot County agricultural community. You guys want to come on up?
Cheers.
Hey, you guys tonight.
Yeah, we're great. We'll
Good,
I'll switch out as
good.
we get started. So
Okay, I got you.
kick us off. I'm Shannon
Yeah.
Dill. I'm with University of Maryland Extension, and
Yeah,
this has been kind of an annual thing where we've come forward as sort of a state of the ag
yeah,
for the
Yeah.
for the county and
Good.
talk about the different agencies.
right.
So we definitely have a very common mission as far as agriculture, profitability, and conservation goes in the county. But each of our agencies and organizations sort of have a different role in that. And so each of us kind of have a different place that we play in the county. I'm with University of Maryland, so we provide extension and outreach in the areas of agriculture, 4-H youth development, family consumer science, food and nutrition, and home horticulture. And as far as agriculture goes, as you know, it is the #1 economic industry in the county and the #1 land use. So it's just very a valuable industry for us and what we can do to support it. So as far as in the extension office, we have an email list of over 450 stakeholders that we send regular updates to, email blasts this time of year. It's, don't forget this training's coming up, this form is due, this regulatory policy is happening. So during the growing season, it might be something about deadlines extended or a new product that's available. So we definitely utilize that email list. Providing regulatory updates, we have an agricultural law initiative, which has been just amazing for us, a resource at the state level to be able to navigate regulations, to interpret policies that farmers use. And so that is one of the things that we definitely rely on at the state level. And then locally, I have the pleasure of serving on a number of committees, boards, and organizations, kind of having that agricultural voice on them. As far as dates of importance, I did share in the one-pager some upcoming things that we do each year. And as far as coming forward to the council, we have done that as well as offer a county tour. So I'll be the third agency to say if you'd like to do a tour, go out and see what a buffer might look like, what a wetland might look like, maybe new technologies. We've done auto steer and tractors and turbo tilling and poultry houses. So yeah, if there's anything that a farm tour, we could do that during the growing and production season. We'd love to do it. And of course, there's our county fair. I can't forget that one in July. That'll be happening. And then again, if we can do some type of agricultural tour, that would be great. So I'm going to turn it over to my other friends in.
Okay. Just Wayne? Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Hey.
John Swain,
Yeah.
farmer in western part of Talbot County. Serve on several county-appointed boards, also vice president, Talbot County Farm Bureau. Serve as the county-appointed representative on Talbot Soil Conservation District Board of Supervisors. Been there now for 30-some years. Also, before I forget, real quick, he's in the back. Joe Willoughby, stand up. He is our new noxious weed coordinator for Talbot County. Just started this month.
That's great. Welcome.
We actually have a board meeting Thursday at the Talbot County Operations Center. I think Dave's on that committee as well, so look forward to Dave coming on that. And
great.
anyway, I'm going to talk real quick about Farm Bureau, I guess, and then we'll
Okay.
let Sean talk more about soil conservation.
Okay.
Talbot County Farm Bureau was established in 1956. We have 269 members right now, currently. Our primary goal, focus, I guess, is service to members to help represent farmers' interests in the county, state level, federal level, with policy, regulations, things like that. I just spent a day in Annapolis a couple weeks ago, Farm Bureau Day in Annapolis, spent the day with the legislature. We hosted a luncheon. We had 125 Farm Bureau members there, plus a record number of state senators and legislative people. Talked about various bills that are coming before the legislature right now. I had a Zoom call last night, sort of a recap of all that, hosted by Maryland Farm Bureau. There's about 100 of us on the call last night. We're going to do 2 more of those before the session ends in April. Also, you should have a packet that has our current local policy. I'm not going to read all that, but there's all kinds of topics. I'm not going to read all that. It's too. But if you got questions, please reach out.
Okay.
We meet the third Wednesday of each month. During the winter season, we meet at Talbot Soil Conservation Office. Rest of the year, we meet out at the Talbot Ag Center building out on Hires Lane. I think most of you have been out there to meetings. They're open to the public. Please come and visit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
there's about 10 or 12 of us on the board of directors. Like I say, I'm currently vice president, so.
Good.
Let
That's
Sean
great.
talk about
Okay.
soil conservation a little bit.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Sean Smith. I'm the district manager at Talbot Soil Conservation District. I only have one hat, unlike John. I only have one kind of focus for tonight. So hopefully you have our kind of one-page front and back updates for calendar year 2022. I just wanted to go briefly into what we do at the Talbot Soil Conservation District. So this year we're actually celebrating our 65th year of locally led conservation. The Talbot Soil Conservation District is a quasi-governmental organization in that it's not a county organization or a state organization. I guess it was formed under provisions of the Maryland Soil Conservation District's law as a political subdivision. It consists of a 5-member board, of which John is our chairman, along with Lou Smith is our vice chair, Kyle Hutchison, Lemmy Swan, and Colin Jones are our other members. We're housed off of Mary's Court. We typically work with the agricultural community, but we also work with the school system, with education and conservation, and we'll work with and landowners if they have any other natural resource concerns. So some highlights from 2022. We did a conservation tour, which we'll do again this year in October, where we presented our 2021 Cooperator of the Year Award to West Sherwood Farm, which is the Burns family, which is located along Bosman Nevitt Road. And then we also visited a few other farms in that area. So this year I'm not sure where we'll be, but you all get an invite to come and join us. I'm particularly proud that our office was selected as the 2022 National USDA Chiefs Field Office Award, which basically recognized us with our outstanding volunteer efforts towards conservation delivery. Primarily the front page, we have all of our ag accomplishments, which at the bottom we have an impressive number of cover crops were again planted in Talbot County, 41,731. That's kind of our staple that we're doing here. And then the back side has our erosion sediment control, which, as we've all seen around Talbot County, it's still developing. And so we're still seeing quite a record number of plans that we review through our office. That's all I have. If you have any questions for us and what we do at Soil Conservation.
Yep.
Yeah, he's with Farm Service Agency. He's
yeah.
with Soil Conservation. Okay.
He's getting fidgety back there.
All right, well, I'll stay here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good evening, my name is John Bargy. I'm the County Executive Director for the Farm Service Agency.
Yep.
And each of you should have received some of this information. Not going to detail a lot, but our primary role in the Farm Service Agency is to deliver the effective, efficient agricultural programs. And understand too, since it's a federal program, these programs are run whether it's in Talbot County or the far reaches of Alaska. The same programs are available for every farmer everywhere in the United States. And how they're initially administered is through the acreage reporting process, in which every farmer across America to participate in programs would need to report their acreages and what they planted by the planting date and the commodities, so on and so forth. And all that information is put in a massive database nationwide, and it is reported by July 15th. And they use that information to determine the different type programs. For instance, disaster prevention recovery programs, income safety net programs, so on and so forth, to protect the farmer against the natural disasters and things that can actually drive them out of business rather quickly. We also offer conservation programs. We work with Sean and the National Conservation Resource Service to promote the conservation practices that you see here in Talbot County. whether shallow water ponds or buffer strips, but primarily, or even wildlife enhancements to preserve Talbot County's natural resources. We promote a lot with new farmers, veteran farmers, underserved farmers as well. And I encourage anyone that has starting a new farm or wanting to get into farming, please stop in the office. If you've ever been on our website, it is extremely overwhelming. So I'm encouraging you to stop in. Actually, we had a gentleman stop in today, just out of the cold, and said, hey, I picked up a little farm. I want to see what I can do with it. We spent an hour going through some things, and we've given him a lot of different areas to go to, or different USDA programs that were out there that he wasn't even aware of. And it mentioned here Sean, what he does, and the different agencies inside and outside, and even send them over to Shannon. I don't know if you stopped to see him today, Shannon, but okay. But see, that's what we do, and we're here to help.
Great.
So
That's great. Well,
Thank you for your
I
time.
appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Council? Dave?
No, again, thank you to all for doing that. Sean, good to see you again. Not on the ball field this time, and I call you out, Shannon. Just thank you for having us out. I made the call out last meeting about you having us out to the extension office. So thank you again for that. Being that you're here now, I get to say that in person. So it was very informative, and the kiddos loved the chocolates and lollipops when I brought home our potted gifts. So thank you for that.
Lynn?
Yes, thank you for everything. I just had one question. What is Annie's project?
Yes, it's a farm management class for women. And we just started last week. We've got 25 women currently that are going. We have about 6 in class, and then the rest are virtual. And we're running that. We run it every winter, and it actually is part of the FSA borrower program. So for individuals that purchase or get a loan from FSA, they are required to take financial management training. And so this class also meets that requirement if they so need it.
Great.
That's good. Good. Keisha?
I just want to echo what Dave said, coming out to the Extension office and having that update and the PowerPoint that was provided to us. We greatly appreciate it, and learned a lot in regards to the different departments that you have within your office. And then, John, you're a familiar face that I'm seeing often and frequent.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate everything you do. Thanks a lot. Good job.
Thank you all.
Good
Appreciate
job. Okay. Moving on the agenda here. Next up, we have a number resolution. Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and read the resolution for the record, please?
A resolution to amend the Talbot County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan for consistency with discharge permit number 19DP3460, issued by the Maryland Department of the Environment on October 27th, 2022, and to require that any future expansion of the new Lakeside wastewater treatment plant shall require an amendment to the Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Thomas, you want to just give us a brief overlook on what we're looking at here?
Yes, so this resolution is requested by Councilmember Milkey. As the title suggests, this would incorporate the provisions of the discharge permit MDE issued in October for the Lakeside facility into the comprehensive water and sewer plan.
Okay.
Those terms are actually a bit more restrictive than those currently in the plan.
I got you. Okay. All right. Discussion, Ms. Lynn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just briefly, I hope. There had seemed to be, or there was, a lot of controversy over Resolution 281. At one point, the Planning Commission had rescinded it. There was a lot of proposals for amendments or proposals for changes to it. And as it turned out, when MDE issued the permit, it had listened to the concerns that citizens of Talbot County had over the nature and extent of the development and the water and sewer plan for it. So it seemed to me, and to others that I spoke with, that doing an amendment to 281 that required, well, it didn't require, but that tracked the permit, which was much more restrictive, that MDE wrote was the way to go. And so I thought that we should introduce this and just track, as MDE will, how this development will go as far as the sewer plan, and if it's successful or it requires reining in at any point, that the county still has the ability to have some input and control over protecting the environment and the citizens of Talbot County. That's it.
Okay.
No discussion.
Keisha?
No
Okay.
discussion.
Okay. Why don't we show of hands of introduction? Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
This will be known as Resolution Number 338, and the public hearing will be on Tuesday, April 11th at 6:30 p.m.
Okay, that's great. Appreciate it. Okay, next on the agenda is discussion of, on the General Assembly legislation.
You want me to read?
Yeah, I was going to say,
read
Madam
each one?
Secretary, could you read the first one in the record, please?
Yes, the first one is House Bill 335. 235, I'm sorry.
Yep. No problem.
Property tax, deadline extension for homeowners to redeem property involved in a tax sale.
Okay. Do we want to do individual one? Would we want to do individuals or do all of them? All of them? Okay, could you read all of them then? That'd be great.
Senate Bill 303,
Uh-huh.
Talbot County Speed Monitoring Systems, intersection of Maryland Route 333, Oxford Road, and Bonfield Avenue.
Okay.
Senate Bill 498, Rural Health Collaborative Pilot Repeal and Midshore Health Improvement Coalition funding.
Okay, that's good. All right.
And Senate Bill 777, Midshore Counties, Sunday Hunting, Repeal of Time Restrictions.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. Okay, I think, so council, we could open up for discussion, or we could go ahead and, we could do a couple different things. We could show a letter of support, or show a letter of against, or take a position at this time to seek additional information. So,
Yes.
what's council's pleasure?
So I would like more information on the
Okay.
bills.
Okay.
Because when I read the bills
Mhm.
pertaining to some individual departments, I would like staff to get more information for us
Yeah,
so that
I
we
think
can
Okay.
Would that need a motion?
Ditto.
make a decision.
And I would add to that, and I think it's important that we've got a council member missing tonight. He's got other engagements and stuff, and I think it's important for Mr. Lesher to be here too. So, okay, so do we need to do anything as far as a vote or
So
just
do
a
I
hand?
understand council's remanding the bills to staff for additional information for your consideration?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you don't mind taking a quick vote, that would give staff the direction.
Okay.
Make a motion for that?
Okay, there's a motion, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion second to get additional information from staff. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. All right, great. Appreciate that. Okay, Mr. Stamp, you're up next.
Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Council President, members of the council. Tonight, under County Manager Report, I have board and committee appointments. The first one will be for the Agricultural Land Preservation Advisory Board. We're requesting the reappointment of Robert Satoff Senior to that board.
Okay, is there a motion?
Make motion?
Okay, it's a motion.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second to put to Mr. Satoff back on
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
The next would be the Animal Control Board, requesting the appointment of Cassandra Van Hooser, representing the agricultural community on the Animal Control Board.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion seconded to put Cassandra on the Animal Control Board. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And the next would be the Weed Control Committee, requesting the reappointment of Michael Weaver and the appointment of Lloyd Paulman to the Weed Control Committee.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we got a motion second to.
Second.
And a second to put Mr. Weaver on the weed control.
And Mr. Lloyd Paulman.
And Mr. Paulman. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And Council, I'd like to invite Ann Roan to come forward. She's going to be coming forward requesting from, this is a request from the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy for a letter of support for the FY24 Midshore Rural Legacy application. She's going to speak to you about this.
Sure. So in your, the Eastern Shoreline Conservancy is requesting a letter of support for the Rural Legacy Grant Program. This is a program that's through the state, and it's we have 2 areas that's in your packet. I won't read the whole memo, but it's not a monetary. It's a letter of support. We're not committing staff, and we're not committing funding, but it does. There are 2 areas, and usually we support one year and then the other the next year, and so we can have a more even distribution on these areas of preservation. So.
Okay.
And just to support Ms.
Yeah.
Roan's request, I'll echo what she said. There is no county funds required. In Talbot County, the Rural Legacy Program area includes the Eastern Shore Heartland Rural Legacy area southeast of Trapp, which you have in your packet on a map, and the Tuckahoe Rural Legacy area. Those are the 2 areas in Talbot County.
Okay. All right, Council.
And so, and we are, I'm sorry, thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that.
That's all right.
We are recommending that this year we prioritize the Eastern Shore Heartland Rural Legacy area.
Okay. So Council, is there a motion to go ahead and support a support letter
So
For-
moved.
for Rural Legacy?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Thank you, Ann.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good work now.
Thanks.
In the next 3 items, I'll invite your favorite director of the Department of Park and Recreation forward.
Our favorite one?
Preston.
Our favorite?
There you
Favorite?
go.
Okay.
Preston has 3 requests. The first one is going to be requesting council to award bid number 2302, the annual grass cutting services contract for parks, ball fields, and landings. And I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll fill in any blanks that you don't cover.
So we have gone through our 5 one-year renewals on the past bid that we put out for our mowing and the next bid as well. So this went out to bid. We probably sent out about 3. Most people we call and we email it to them. Most people don't stop in and pick it up anymore. So I think 3 total were picked up. Only 1 was submitted back, and it's actually Riverside, who was our previous vendor as well. So it's a blessing in disguise in that, he already knows all the land. He already knows all the land that needs to be mowed and how it needs to be done. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good.
So this award would be to Riverside Lawn Service in the amount of $44,994 for the 2023 season.
Okay, Council. All right, we've got a motion on the floor to go ahead and award Riverside bid that, is there a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
A motion to
We've got a
approve.
motion second.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And next, Preston is going to talk to you about recommendation to award bid number 2303, Portable Sanitary Chemical Toilet Service. Preston?
So much like the last one, this is another one that has run its 5 one-year renewals, and we put it out to bid again. We actually sent out 6 for this, only got 1 back. I think we did receive an email from one of the vendors that picked it up that said that they wanted theirs actually pulled. They never submitted it, so because they were from across the bridge and they couldn't fulfill the twice-a-week cleaning, so they wanted to go ahead and have their name pulled out of there. I'm not sure the reason why we don't get more bids for this. I think it could be because we've got 16 landings and 20 plus landings and 16 parks that all require at least 1 porta potty. So I think part of it is that a lot of the different vendors don't have anything else that they can put out. So it's, you're kind of hamstringing them with having to have so many units out at one time. So that is a possible reason why we only got 1. But again, Pearson Comfort Group is the same one that we had last year. So again, the routine will be down as far as that goes.
Okay.
And this is bid number 2303, Pearson Comfort Group LLC, in the amount of $32,917.50 for the 2023 season.
Okay, council. So there's a motion to go ahead and award bid 2303 of Pearson's Porta Potties.
There's a motion to
Okay.
approve that bid.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we got a second. Okay, Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And finally, Preston's going to speak to you about and request your approval to enter into a pool management contract renewal for the 2023 season, and he'll fill in the blanks there.
So you may or may not be aware, a couple of years ago, we went with a pool management company in that we actually advertised for lifeguards for both pools, and we only got a total of 4 applications. So it's been really difficult to secure part-time help. So luckily, the Coastline Pools had been trying to get us to contract with them for many years prior to that. Actually, it ended up being a very good relationship. They run a very tight ship as far as the pools go. The pools are clean, the staff is always there, the guards are always there. It's also a little bit of an advantage in that it takes a little bit of the liability off of the county in that we are not actually doing the lifeguarding, whereas a company is. So there's a little bit of a buffer if anything were to ever happen. There is that, like I said, a little bit of a buffer between us and the pools.
Okay.
So there is an increase that is largely due to the minimum wage increase, cost of chemicals, kind of the cost of everything that seems to have gone up. So again, if we don't go with a pool management company, I'm not sure if we would even be able to open the pools.
Right.
And this is a renewal of the contract, as we mentioned, for the 2023 season to Coastline Pool Services for both the George Murphy Pool and the Bay 100 Community Pool for the 2023 season in the total sum of $270,000.
Okay.
I just have one question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
What is the increase over last year, the percentage?
About 25%.
Okay. Any other questions, council?
No.
Okay, so there's a motion to go ahead and award Coastal Light Pools the bid this year.
Coastal Pool Service.
Coastal Pool Service, I'm sorry.
Coastline.
Pool Services.
God,
Yeah,
Coastline Pool
Coastline.
Services.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll make a
sorry.
motion to approve the renewal of the contract to Coastline Pool Services.
I'll second.
Okay. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, good job.
I just want to
Preston.
recognize
Good job.
Preston for his hard work out there. He
Yeah,
does
he-
a lot of good out there, works hard, and we're excited because I believe we're going to have an event out at the gymnasium.
We are.
Yeah.
You should all be receiving an invitation shortly. We're going to have our groundbreaking for the gymnasium expansion that will be on the 14th of March, and hopefully break ground then on the end of March. So a lot of new things going on out there.
Good.
Yay.
There we go.
And
So
finally,
maybe the
congratulations.
basketball tournament will be there one year?
The
MLK
basketball
Classic?
league, basketball tournament. I know that we've already have AAU basketball teams that are in the area that are having to travel out of county to even have practices. So Ironically, we have a new volleyball club that just started here a couple of years ago. They're actually having to travel all the way to Wycomico and or Snow Hill to even have practices, and they're actually all local girls, which is unfortunate. But this should solve that problem.
That's great.
Great. How big will the gym be?
It'll be about 20,000 square feet. There'll be 2 full-size high school basketball courts.
Okay.
So,
Good.
yeah.
And finally, congratulations on the new ice, because there's
Yeah.
Yeah, so the ice is
Yes.
in. The ice is actually, Councilman Stepp would probably be able to, shed better light than I am. It's, from what we've heard, it's the best ice that it's been. Part of it is you've got, an ice plant that's 20 years younger than its predecessor. The easiest way to explain it is it used to have 6 compressors running, 2 of which never ran because they weren't fixable anymore. The new system simply has 2, and 1 hasn't had to kick on yet because of the temperature. So the freezing time for everything is about half as much as it was. And what we're really trying to look into is on the next electric bill to see how much our electric bill has dropped, because I have a feeling that because we were running such old equipment, that this one's going to be a lot more efficient than the old equipment was.
And I think, Preston, keep me honest here. I remember from our last meeting, I think you said the electricity bill out to the community center is about $2,000. Normally, when we fire up the old compressors, that jumps from about $2,000 up about $10,000 to $12,000, right?
Yeah. So normally a normal, just in the summer with just different activities going on, it's between 12 and 2,000. Depending if it's just really hot, then obviously the air conditioners and everything kicks on. But yes, once normally we turn the ice plant on, it would go up anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 per month.
Yeah.
So right now, I think the last bill that we looked at, it was only about $6,000. So we're hoping, that reduction in that cost. And I will say that the last weekend probably was the highest attendance weekend we've ever had. There were the max we can take is 300. That's the maximum occupancy on the ice. We actually had 300 on all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is highly unusual for the Friday night, not necessarily because it's teen night, but the other 2 to have 300 people there was an uncommon thing. So
That's a good job.
Well, from a hockey family, I know Chuck was years back. I mean, just seeing the ice the way that it is right now compared to what we have in the past, complete 180-degree difference. It's a beautiful sheet of ice. We're incredibly grateful to have it. We've got some great staff out there that are maintaining it the way that it should be, and it's wonderful for the kids to play on for sure.
So after the groundbreaking, you guys can all put skates on and do a couple times on the ice, right?
Absolutely.
And we'll have EMS stand by.
Yes. And the dugouts look great already too. The improvements to the dugouts out there to the fields.
Yeah, hopefully they just got to get the roofs on them and then they're done.
Yeah.
And good luck next weekend, because you got that big hockey tournament there. So my son's, he just can't wait to get there. He can't. He just can't.
I will be somewhere else.
I bet you will. I bet you will. I bet you will. So,
Thank you
well,
again.
all right,
Thanks,
good
Preston.
job.
Good
Really
night.
good job.
And finally, council, I have one more request from Easton Utilities for a letter of support for federal funding for upgrades to the town of Easton's water treatment system. As you read in your agenda packet, Easton Utilities requesting letters of support from the council for their application for FY24 congressionally directed spending for the upgrade of the town of Easton's water supply and treatment system. There are no county funds being requested.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tamp.
Motion to approve the letter of support for Eastern Utilities.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And finally, just thank you, council, for taking a minute to recognize the department heads. They come in every week with their request. As you know, you're just as proud as I am of our department heads. They work hard every day, and they have great staff, and Preston's just an example of that. So thank you for your time, just recognizing him and his staff for their work. And that completes your county manager report for this week. Thank you, sir.
Okay, good job. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is a public comment. Is there any?
Nobody has signed up to speak this evening, Mr. Callahan.
Okay. We got a lot. We got 4 people. One of you going to come up, aren't you? No? No. Well, come on up. There we go. We got one. We've got one. How you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Terrence Bernard. An outcome that came off of the PAB meeting I attended, the Police Academy Board, Accountability Board,
Can you pull the microphone closer?
Yep, there you go. Yep.
was that towards the end, if that was a recorded meeting, if you go back and listen to it, there was a comment made from the PAB to the law enforcement, and that was, how can we get more information into our community about the goodness that our law enforcement is doing? You know, they are credible persons, they're there to serve and protect, life-saving, and they go through an extensive amount of training. And during the meeting, it was said they have books and records and so many hours of training, education to get to promotions. And if there was somehow that the council could speak with our Star Democrat, maybe to get some influence or something. I recall when the day that everyone here was initiated, Mr. Stamp asked if you would get on this committee, if you would get on this committee, this and this. Well, how about a resource to, we have a great community here. Let's put some positive comments in there about our law enforcement here. Just like you have the EMS, it's out there saving lives, the response times and so forth. Well, the same with our law enforcement. It's just a comment. I'm not looking for an answer. Just, that would be good for our community. We have a very nice community here.
Sounds great.
And that would help in the recruiting of officers coming into the area
Right.
also. It's a win-win.
Well,
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It was a good
Thank
thought.
you.
I appreciate it. Any of you gentlemen would like to come up? Yeah.
I just have a comment.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, no problem. Come on up.
I think when we were talking about the MS2, I think was the,
Oh,
do you want me to talk to?
yes, yeah. EMS, yeah.
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 If I understood things right, we had a contract with.
Could you tell us who you are?
Yeah, my name's Paul Barrett. I live in Easton.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I thought I heard it said that we had a contract with an entity, and our contract to use MS2 as a landfill expires in 2030. But we have am I misinterpreting something?
Speaking of the MES presentation
Yeah,
and the
right.
different
Yeah,
landfills.
tonight's presentation.
Yeah.
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 But it has a proposed life through 2042. Why can't we get an extension of that to 2042?
So we have an active arrangement with the MES gentlemen that were here, and we're constantly monitoring. And there are options being looked at to extend the life of certain landfills.
This included?
Yes, this included.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's to be determined. But we are actively engaged, the 3 counties, in having conversations with the vendor who you heard tonight to come up with the best way to use the landfills to their optimum.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
That's all I had.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good question.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Nobody else? Okay. Jess? No? Okay. Just asking. All right. Council comments. Mr. Dave over there. Have anything for us?
I absolutely do. So, just like I said, as usual, just a quick recap. Council's been busy since our last meeting on Valentine's Day. A good amount of us attended Warren's retirement ceremony. He's put in a lot of years here in Talbot County. It was great to see a warm and friendly send-off for him. We had a wonderful luncheon where a lot of us had served lunch out of the senior center, both council members as well as county employees, and that was wonderful. Wonderful event. I know there was over 100 participants there. I believe Susan, you were on tray duty. I was bread and bread and butter, and Pete, I believe, was our broccoli guy. So,
was the broccoli.
but yeah, so it was wonderful. We had a wonderful time out there, and the hairnets fit very well, I will say too. So, St. Michael's Volunteer Fire Company. We attended the. I think Lynn, you and I were out at that event. It was really nice to see them celebrated, and to be there with their families was a wonderful event. And then today, a great session with Easton Utilities, just finding out what they're doing with their broadband initiative and extending that out to the county. So very good things happening here in Talbot County. Also, like to just make a quick announcement. I haven't even got the chance to talk to council about this, but I'm going to be seeking the support of council for a proclamation for what I'd like to call Talbot Day. There was a proclamation, and Susan, I'd like to thank you again for going and finding an old proclamation from the year 1983 that designated the birth date of Talbot County as April 25th. Just happens to be a county council meeting, so it's in the works. But I'd like it to be a day of celebration for Talbot County. So I'd like to see what our business community can do, restaurants, our arts community. But we'd like to celebrate that as called for in the 1983 proclamation. So more to come.
Yeah,
Exciting
great.
stuff. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Ms. Lynn?
Yes.
Yeah.
I zoom into the Eastern Shore delegation meetings and summaries on Friday mornings, and it's very informative. And the last meeting that they had, they introduced Serena McElwain, who is the new Secretary of the Environment. She was nominated to that position February 17th, and prior to that, from January 18th to February 17th, she was the acting secretary. She's very gung-ho. She has a philosophy of getting up and getting out, and she wants to come to the counties and learn what their issues are with the environment and touch base. And she wants a partnership with counties. I think that she's very proactive in protecting our environment with her background and experience, which you can go to the Department of the Environment website and see her resume. I'd like to sponsor at some point in time a meeting with her, the council, as well as the municipalities and environmental groups, so that she could get to know the needs and the desires of Talbot County when it comes to environmental issues, because our environment is precious, and we want to protect it. So I think we need to work with her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Keisha?
Lynn. So I had the opportunity to attend I think it was the 205th Frederick Douglass birthday celebration.
I just wrote it down.
Yeah.
You took my thunder here. Come on
Sorry.
now. Come on
Chuck
now.
and I attended that
Yeah.
event at the Avalon, and so Cassandra has left, but kudos to Cassandra for helping with that, and Terrence Bailey as well for putting that on. Awesome statue and dinner at the Waterfowl Building here in Easton. It was a great event and well done. I mean, it really was. And then the actor that was here in town, I forgot his name, Darius something. I watched him 2 nights later on Law and Order. So it was good to have the celebrity here in town for that. And then I saw him on TV. I was like, what a coincidence. But also, I just wanted to mention, as we move into budget deliberations, I've talked with some of our council members individually in regards to a placeholder for a housing coordinator position that I had mentioned in the past before. That position was previously in the county, but was eliminated. So if we're successful during our budget deliberations in bringing that position back, they would be responsible for creating a workforce program for citizens to be able to either receive counseling to purchase a home or assist with renting apartments here in the county. And if the coordinator creates that program, we will be one of 2 counties in the state that has a program like that. So hopefully, as we go through our budget deliberations, I'm hoping we can bring this program to the citizens of Talbot County and provide some retention benefits to our fire department, our healthcare workers, whatever those areas that we want to target to help those individuals live right here in Talbot County as they work in Talbot County. It would be awesome. And that's all I have.
That's all you got. Okay. And I'll just wrap things up for you're going to read the last note for me, right?
I got
it. I just want to thank staff for all you do for us. like Mr. Stepp said, we had a great work session around 3 o'clock with the town of Easton. Operation Connect Talbot. That is such a big deal that we have partnership with the Easton Utilities to connect broadband throughout the whole county. So that's a big accomplishment. It adds value to everybody, land, housing, education, schools. So it's something we're really proud of, and I think this council is doing a really fantastic job. You've jumped in right out the gate, working hard, and we're going to be working hard with staff and department heads for the next 2 months on a budget. We got our work cut out for us. That's for sure. We can't please everybody, but we're going to do whatever we can to help Talbot County be very successful. We've come out of the whole pandemic thing, and I'm glad that everybody is healthy, and I can see 23 and 24 being a good year for us. So I just want to thank everybody for all their hard work. That's for sure. Mr. Stepp, you want to go ahead and say what's going on?
Sure thing. The county council's next meeting will be held on Tuesday, March 14th, beginning at 6 p.m. Council will be convening in open session at 4:30 p.m. and then adjourning in a closed session to discuss real estate, legal, and personnel matters as listed on the statement for closing that meeting. The county council will be holding budget presentations from county departments and agencies on Tuesday, March 7th, beginning at 4 p.m. and on Wednesday, March 8th, beginning at 4:30 p.m. The budget presentations will be held in the Bradley Meeting Room right here and are open to the public. Therefore, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting and reconvene as noted?
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate it.